Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be discussing with you my predictions to the economy toward the end of the year. It is March 2010. However, in the first 2 months there have been some action, there have been some measures, and this obviously will have a consequence toward the end of the year. Every month I'm going to try to adjust those predictions based on whatever happens during the month. The present situation of the economy in the United States is very similar to a patient that has internal bleeding and has been receiving continuous blood transfusion during the last 18 months. The economy is artificially connected to a significant amount of financial bailout of stimulus funds organized and directed by the federal government. It is interesting to notice the fact that there are not many actions directed to attack the circumstances that have caused the need of these non-stop transfusions. The final result is that we are in fact running out of donors, yet there is an increased weakening of the sources, and soon we will not be enough left. There will not be enough left, and both patient, which is the economy, and the donors, which are the citizens, us, will have to face exhaustion because of this permanent bailout policy. So unfortunately, at this state of the game, in the month of March, my prediction toward the end of the year is that it's going to be worse than right now. Hopefully, within the next month, something better will happen. And the reasons of my prediction now in March are very simple. There has been many mistakes in the past. However, we'll continue with the same trend, not paying attention to those mistakes. We have a leadership group that is betting to the continuation of the consumption model in a country that should be oriented to savings, which is exactly the opposite to the present economic policy. The interest rate at the present time is close to zero, very low, and that is the same monetary policy that originated the actual crisis, with a stimulus to consumption and not to the savings. Massive debt. It seems that we're not aware of the future consequences of this policy. It seems that we are exclusively concentrated in the short terms, and most of the policies are oriented toward the short term. Expenses. They are growing without moderation at all levels of the federal government, providing an unhealthy example to the rest of the population that continues to live under the false paradigm of business as usual. But that is not the situation. Tax credit in expansion, which is totally contrary to a government that has limited resources, and this is obviously a prelude of important tax hikes in the near future. Real estate. The real estate market is artificially protected under a government policy that purchased well over 90% of all mortgages. What we are witnessing at the present time is not a recovery, but a huge debt that grows at a fantastic speed. The prediction of the behavior of the basic elements of the economy are the following. For the financial industry, we will continue to see a reduction on lending, and lending will be scarce, of course. The only loans available are those backed up by the government. The monetary mass will continue to grow as long as the government continues its bailout policy. However, we do not anticipate a structural growth on the economy. The dollar as a currency. This is a reason of extraordinary concern. Since the present monetary policy is weakening the dollar as a currency, the currency crisis will be noted with the permanent increase of the loss of value in the dollar, which at the end will have an impact in the price index. With this trend, we will face the dollar price crisis on or before the end of the year. Consumption. If the currency crisis explodes, then unemployment checks will not be enough to cover the basic needs. If 70% of the economy is powered by consumption, however, there will be an important reduction in the consumption levels by the end of the year, then we can see a gloomy scenario. The interest rates. If the price index starts to climb, we will see important and sustained increases on the interest rates. Let's talk a little bit about the behavior of the stock market values. When the citizens realize that the credit construction is permanent and non-structural, then buyers of products and services in the United States will come to a halt, and we will reach to the conclusion that we are in serious problem. saving will be the first priority. What has not happened yet because the rates are too low. What about the stock values? Retail industry, downtrend, since consumption will be reduced. Financing industry, banks, downtrends, since the intermediation activity will be reduced and scarce. Banks will be less profitable, especially will have to create additional reserves limiting their lending capabilities. The real estate industry, as far as the construction industry itself relates, downtrend. Although we can see equity attracted for low prices and increased opportunity, many units will exchange of ownership, but new construction does not seem to be stimulated. Foreign stock, especially those associated with commodity, have a much and more positive trend than those of American industry. So foreign stocks are on the watch because they tend to increase. Government policy. The prediction on the government policy is that it will increase its critics to the profitable companies, basically for ideological reasons. There will be an important tax increase for the entire productive sector. General policies will trend to the wealth confiscation. Those are tax hikes and controls as opposed to wealth generation. Rules, regulations, and controls are necessary and important as long as they do not generate lack of incentives to the creation of new wealth. So to conclude, the recommendations are: number one, savings. And this is the only medicine to jumpstart and reinvent the economy. Production and manufacturing. If we can produce goods and services needed by the world, we will maintain our leadership role in the international community. Export. If we concentrate on importing what we cannot pay, then we will have less success than if we concentrate in producing and exporting what others need and can pay. The solution is simple, and the country has the way to embrace it. But the decision, on the other hand, is highly complex. It implies abandoning the consumption model to become a savings-oriented and production-centered society and economy, which we seem to have forgotten because of our desire and our greed in order to have a higher standard of living. Our government mission is more than to rule and play boss. It is to create the adequate conditions to generate wealth. I am Tulio Rodriguez. See you next time.